Yeah.
All right,
I just keep
hello
it steady on
everybody.
the
Welcome
magic.
back to the
Do my thing, I'm
Uplifting
healing, it's
podcast.
fantastic.
Yeah, we're gonna just
If
have
I
some
fall,
good
rise
conversation
automatic.
about some good
You ain't
topics,
on
some
that,
good
you
people.
know. I'm the one raised myself like a tree from the roots. West side girl, cause she lit in the coast. East side girl when she speaks to the roots. Stay 100 cause she on with the truth. Been there on struggle, know that it pass. Only going up, yeah, the pain don't last. Ooh, take off. Ooh, take off. Ooh, take off. This is take off. Shorty like Brandy, fight like Monica. What you know about her? Baby girl rising, way to the top. Shaking the world, don't expect her to stop. Purpose so great, she get what she got. Follow her step, cause she following God. What you need more, got a heart full of gold. Even at times when it's raining and cold. Ooh, she bout take off. Ooh, she bout.
Hey, it's your girl Hannah, aka Ruta, and we are having another episode of Black Women Wednesday. Today I'm gonna have a very beautiful guest, Aden, joining. Hey sis, I see you. So yeah, this week we're gonna talk about mental health. This is a topic that's dear to my heart, so always gonna push for it. Let me go ahead and bring my sis in. This song is good, sis. Hey y'all, welcome. Please send it to your friends. Okay. Come through, Harry. Come through.
I know, it cooperated today. I was really surprised. I didn't expect this.
Sis, because I surely did take a shower and I was like, look.
I put my hair in a bun and I didn't put any product in it, which is shocking.
Wow.
I'm just gonna do a bun all day, and then my spirit, something inside said, just take it out. Let's just see. Let's just play with it. And
oh wow,
it never looks good without product, and it never looks this good without energy, without effort. So I'm shocked.
No, it's popping. You came on the screen ready, sis. I said, whoa. Hold on. I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready. Oh man, no. Like I'm telling you, my friends know because you know, right? Like it goes through phases. So like fresh out the shower, it's still a little tame. Like I guarantee you, by the end of this episode, it's gonna be like out here. Because it's still kind of wet, like I can feel the dampness. But man, no, you came in strong, sis. I was like, oh, okay. She said, hold on.
I gave thanks. I gave true thanks because this is not my regular situation.
Sis, we was on the phone yesterday. We both had our robe on. We surely were just like
glasses, hair up, just like not ready for it. Yeah.
Yes,
I did this for you. I did all this for you.
I love it. I appreciate it. I'm just like, thank you. Because I didn't even put my eyebrows on. I was just like, listen, y'all gonna just have to get what you get today. And I'm glad you have, like, because you were so tired yesterday. I was like, oh no, sis. Like, are you okay? I was like, are you okay? Like, you were just exhausted. So I'm glad you look a little bit like more upbeat. Are you feeling better? Like,
thank you for asking. Yeah, I was just so exhausted in every way, and I just needed to sleep. Resting is important, everybody. So make sure you sleep. I went to bed early, and then I thought, I could wake up with 8 hours of sleep, and that would be sufficient. No, I woke up, I was still tired. So I told myself that I'm not going to wake up until I'm done being tired. Because today is a really busy day, like a heavy day for me. So even in our talk yesterday, I couldn't find the words. I was trying to talk to you. And I was like, I'm going to be on camera today. I have to have the words. Like, I have to have enough sleep to be able to speak.
Yeah.
So I made sure I slept in. I slept like 11 hours today. And
you got to do sometimes.
Yeah. Resting is so important. It is.
You have to. I mean, if not, you're just going to pass out and you're going to wake up on the other side like, what happened? So
exactly.
you might as well do it intentionally,
Yeah.
No, I'm so glad. I was so worried. I was like, oh my God. Like, I was like, she's so tired. I just was like, you know what? Maybe I should just tell her, like, if you're too tired, it's okay. And then I ended up in another phone call and I was like, shoot, I forgot to message her, like to give her that option. I was like, okay, like, I'll just keep it light. If I was like, I was going to come in and if your energy was low, I was going to be like, okay, we're going to keep it short so that you can get some rest in between your meetings. But yeah, no, I'm
ready for this.
This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So everybody, welcome. So essentially I asked for you to come on. I actually reached out to Kidus first. And the whole thing was that, you know, we on the Clubhouse all the time, like addicted. That the app is addictive, honestly, you guys. So I tuned in for a couple, I think you guys, I don't know, this is the third week or fourth week or something, that you guys started doing Therapy Thursdays. And I was just like, yo, this is so dope. Like I was just thoroughly impressed by like the way that you guys facilitated the conversations, you know, just how open and honest people were. There was like a lot of vulnerability, you know, like I was just like, this is so nice. Like it was very safe. And I felt like I want to uplift this because this is something that I feel like a lot of us can benefit from. You know, I've been to therapy, so I've been able to do that, but I know that not everybody can. So I thought this was a nice way for you guys to introduce it in the community in like a non-threatening way where you could be in the audience and not feel like you have to open up, but you can still get the benefit, right? So I thought that was dope, and I was like, you know what, they gotta be on Black Women Wednesday because of course it's always a Black woman that's doing this work. So I wanted to highlight you. So for the audience, like people who don't know you, do you want to kind of introduce, you know, who you are, and also that you have a nonprofit called Art and Health. So if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So hi everyone, my name is Aden Ababa, and I am an artist and a community organizer. My background has always been in nonprofit sector, community organizing, specifically working with Black youth community in Toronto. That's where I live and where I'm from, born and raised. So when it came to mental health, it just was something that impacted my family personally. It created many shifts in my life and in the lives of my family members. And I'm a very open person. I'm a very non-Abisha. Like I'm very proud to be Abisha, but at the same time, I'm not good at, you know, keeping my mouth closed and not talking about my feelings. And there's so much like secretness in our community, and not to like show your vulnerability or your wounds. And for me, it's like really toxic to not talk about the what's hurting me. So I ended up making the artist side of me. I'm a photographer, and so I made a photo series about it because I felt too afraid to talk verbally about it, unlike everything else I'd always done in my life. Mm-hmm. But the stigma, I was just afraid of how it would impact my family because it wasn't my story. It had to do with a family member. And so I did a photo series about it, and it was really all the catharsis I needed to kind of get it out of my body. Mm-hmm. And it ended up being impactful for so many other people. People were crying looking at it when it opened in the gallery. There was a lineup of people who wanted to talk to me. And one by one, they started whispering their family secrets, you know, related to mental health. And these were all like Abisha, East African, like Black and brown folks. Mm-hmm. And what I learned was like the stigma, the cultural stigma is very similar in these different cultures, but seeing it portrayed in a way where it still had the person who was experiencing depression represented in a way that was with dignity and was still beautiful and wasn't poor and just like didn't have anything in their life, which is something that our community likes to kind of assume, like you're crazy, you have nothing, you are a nothing, you know, you become like a nothing when people kind of label you as crazy. And
there's no words for it. Like, there's no language for it.
Exactly.
So it's very hard for them to like wrap their brains around.
There doesn't exist a language for anxiety, depression, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder. Like there's no Amharic or Tigrinya or any other language in our country for these diagnoses. And so it just makes it that much harder to wrap your head around it when there's no language around it. And when the white man comes and tells you, you know, this is that and this and that, you're like, you keep your white devil over there. Like, you know, you keep it up in Europe and in America.
They're so quick with the shaitan. They're like, don't bring shaitan.
Exactly. So the byproduct of me being open and creating this series was I became known in the community as a safe space for people to come and talk to about mental health without being without the fear that they typically would have talking to other people. And so a lot of people would come to me privately, seeking counsel, advice, direction. And I was just a young person too. I didn't have the answers. I just was someone else to talk to about it. And it wasn't until a few years later, like 8 years later, that
I was like, a few.
It was a while, yeah. I had to grow up a bit more.
No, we all do. This is not something you jump into, okay? It's something you crawl and then you walk and then you run.
Yeah, and it also requires you doing the work for yourself first. Can't pour from an empty cup. I can't help others if I don't know the root myself. So it was about 8 years later when a friend of mine kind of had this idea to do a workshop where we ate injera and we talked about mental health. And I was like, that's dope, let's do it. And that one workshop was so well received. It was shocking how much people really trusted the space. And it was an intergenerational space too. So there were parents there, there were elders there, and youth. And even little children. We had childcare as well.
Okay, y'all thought about it. Okay, I love it.
We're very intentional. We're very thoughtful and intentional at every stage.
I mean, you have to be in this space.
Yeah. So, anyways, it was a hit. It was shocking how well received it was, and they begged us to do more. And so that's how Art and Health started. It was just this workshop, the idea to eat injera and share our burdens with one another, and to trust that you're not alone in this. Because everyone who's coming to me individually thinks they're the only one in the community, not knowing that their friend also called me and is asking for help.
That part.
Yeah. So the goal was to just like show each other that you have a community that also wants to be held in a safe space and embraced too. So you guys can be that for each other. We can all be that for each other. And that's how Art and Health started.
That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. Like I still can't remember. I in my mind, Faven sent me your page. In my mind, right? I don't know. Like I'd have to go back in the DMs. But I was just like, this is so dope. Like I love that seeing things like this in other countries, and just like seeing other people who look like me, like doing this work, right? Because I've been doing this work like for a long time too, and I have that same story, right? Like there's like, I don't know if it's like stamped on my forehead, but it's like, this is a safe person to like tell your story to. Because that happens to me all the time. It'll be strangers at the coffee shop, on the street, like whatever. And I'm just like, what is going on?
It's an energy thing. It's an energy thing. You have an energy, and I get that. I have been that person too. Like since I was a kid, older people would talk to me about their like big life problems.
Exactly. And I ask you for advice. I'm like, I don't know. Like,
but here's my perspective. And it's just it's just and I see it as an anointing personally.
It is. I have to remind myself all the time. And then as you said too, right, as you get older and you work on yourself and you do your own work, you realize too that you need to do that. Like you need to take that space and you need to find the boundaries, right, for yourself, because we're taking in a lot, right? Like when we're listening to people's stories, especially I don't know if we went over this, but I feel like an empath, right? Like deeply. So for a long time, I remember like having like angry phases and like those phases of just being mad at the world. And I realized I'm mad at things that aren't even happening to me, right? Like, because I took on like other people's stories and I was trying to fix them for them. And I just had this like overwhelming like need and want to like really just help other people. And I just like wanted to take away people's pain. And then you kind of you hit a wall sometimes. You're like, I don't know how to fix this. And then I don't know, for me personally, I would feel like worse because I'm like, damn, I don't know how to help you. And then I realized sometimes you don't need to find an answer. All you need to do is listen. All you need to do is create a space for them to feel safe enough to deal with the things that they're dealing with, but not that you're necessarily their savior in any way. And like learning those boundaries for myself and like making it clear in those conversations, like, I don't know that I can help you, but I'm willing to listen. Because that's something I noticed. And even in our culture, right? We like, I don't know if it's all of Africa, but I know in East Africa, we don't talk to actually listen to people. We like, when we're talking, we're listening to respond. And because of that culture, there's a reason why we don't even talk about our feelings and stuff, because if I'm talking to you and I'm trying to be open and vulnerable, and the first thing you're thinking is like, you're just waiting to jump in and respond, is like, okay. Like it just throws off the whole dynamic of that conversation in the relationship because I don't feel like I'm being heard. Yeah. And that's a big part of our culture that is so frustrating and it's so hard to like move past. And then again, going back to what you said earlier, right? About the culture of people thinking that they're the only ones suffering because we don't talk about things openly. It's like, sis, you think that you're the only one who's traumatized? You know, all of our, like for the people I grew up around, all of our parents were refugees, right? All of them. So we have collective trauma. So the fact that they really thought that they were the only ones going through it, like it broke my heart because I was like, no, we're all going through it. We just don't have a space to talk about it. And then instead we're just angry and we're taking it out on each other all the time. Yeah. Like it's exhausting. Like it's so exhausting.
It is exhausting.
But it's nice though, so you started with that and then you were able to grow it and build that up. And the fact that, first of all, the fact that you got an intergenerational, like kudos to you, because man, the parents, you know, do they do this to you? The parents do this to me. They're like, can you talk to my kids? And I'm just like, can I talk to you first?
That part.
Okay. Yeah. They don't want to hear that part though.
No, but I think that they're becoming more open to it. Again, it's like different regions have different levels of familiarity or comfort. Mm-hmm. So in Toronto, I'm actually really surprised at how much we've moved forward in the past 8 years since I did that series. Now our family members are actually talking about it. My mom uses the words depression and anxiety. Like we've had conversations about our depression, our anxiety, which was like, oh.
Yes, sis. Those are not what you gotta have multiple. You gotta have a string of conversations.
Oh, it was a huge win when we had that conversation recently. But we're in talks with a youth group in Alberta, which is another province, and listening to kind of like what their life is like, I realized that they're kind of where we were 8 years ago. They're still at the very like beginning stages of having these conversations and it not being stigmatized in the same way. But I think it depends on kind of the city you're in. I will say though, when you were talking about being an empath, I'm an empath as well. And I think that's kind of what draws people to talk to you and to trust you. Yeah. And when you said that you were like, you know, used to be really angry at one point in your life, oh my God, I was actually known in high school. I didn't know this and I found out way later, but like people referred to me as the angry girl. And which is crazy because I mean, look at me.
I know. I'm just like, what? I'm so nice. What are you talking about?
Right? I'm the sweetest person ever. But the thing was, I because I'm an empath and I feel things so deeply, we're also raised and taught not to cry, not to be emotional, and to kind of dismiss sad feelings. And so what I found was anger was far more respected than sadness. So instead of me being sad and crying, I would just turn it into anger. And I felt like people would listen to me angry, but they wouldn't listen to me sad. Yes. So I would always project anger. And it took me a long time to just realize that I am hurt. I have a lot of hurt, and I just need to cry out all of the tears necessary to like catch up with that pain. And then I can like start my healing work and move forward. So now I feel far more balanced. I've done my work. I'm still doing my work. I also love therapy. I've gone to therapy. I'm looking for a new therapist. So if anyone knows someone, let me know. In Toronto, I didn't. Yeah. And then one other thing, when you were saying that you were angry because you feel like you want to help and you want to do something, but you don't know how to. You don't know how to change it because the problem is too big. I experienced that during this crisis happening right now. I was experiencing depression all of January because I wanted to do this work. I was trying to push forward as part of the movement, but reading the news literally like immediately would bring me into, I was weeping. I remember I was on the phone with a friend of mine and she sent me a link to like a new article and I just start weeping like audibly, like, like you can't catch your breath. And it's the pain, the trauma, the level of harm. Let me try to use non-emotive, angry language, because I am angry. But the level of harm is so evil and diabolical and unconscionable, and it lacks all sense of humanity. And it just felt immobilizing. Like, how can I stop this? How can I change this? How can I stop this pain that's happening over there? And I felt like nothing I was doing, like tweeting something isn't stopping it. And writing this email, to some elected official isn't going to stop it. And I just wanted to stop right now. It was the news about the 700 women and girls being raped. That was when I was like, I could no longer handle it. Because I'm a woman and I was a girl, and I can relate to those experiences, and to imagine being constantly raped. It's
literally horrifying.
Yeah. So I had to take time out, and I had to like completely disconnect from what was happening. I couldn't read any more articles. I was like, no more information, please. And for a week, I just like did not engage in anything related to what's happening back home. And it helped. It was the rest I needed. Like, I needed emotional and spiritual rest.
Yes, that part.
Yeah. And it feels selfish. It feels very selfish to do it. And it was very challenging for me to just tell myself, I'm just going to not think about it right now. But I came back stronger. Like, now I'm in it. Like, now I'm back. I feel like I have a different way of looking at the situation, and there's so much work that needs to be done, and I'm happy to do it. And I feel like I found my place in this healing space, which I have to give like shout out and props to my partner, Tarhas, because together we started this Clubhouse room, which is where you found out about us, called Therapy Thursdays. And it has just felt like a missing space, like a gap that we're being able to fill, because we need people in the front lines fighting, but we also need people to be checking up on us. So many people are grieving and going through a lot of hurt because of what's happening. So
no, there's a lot in that. Like, there is a lot in that just there. So I hope y'all are picking up kind of like the gems in this too, right? Like, those of us who do this work, we need to take that time for ourselves too. So like, we probably have given people this advice, right? I know I have. I'm like, yo, you need to disconnect, you need to take time off, you need to do this. And then sometimes we're our own worst enemy, where we won't allow ourselves that space. And I had to do that week, like the week, like I had an episode on it. But I literally had to just completely disconnect that week because I was so angry. Like, I know that it's a trigger for me. Like anything that's violence against women is a trigger for me personally, because I grew up around that so much and I've experienced it in my own life. So it's like, that was kind of like, I had to go ahead and hit reset, because I was like, this is a lot. And I had to just like accept that, like, you're allowed to like be weak right now. You're allowed to have a moment. You're allowed to need space. And I was like, if I was saying this to the person that was dealing with this, I would tell them that too. And I'm experiencing this like secondhand trauma. And like, I need to act like I'm also a victim of this war. Like, not because I'm physically there and I'm physically in danger, but like mentally, we are like going through psychological warfare. And sometimes, and not even sometimes, we know that lasts a lot longer. You know what I mean? Where when the physical wounds heal, like your mental and your emotional wounds are still hurting. Your spiritual wounds are still hurting. And that work is extremely difficult. And so that's why I'm like I said, like, I love when I see other people investing in this, because I know how hard our work is. And I know how sometimes it can be dismissed and it's put on the back burner. And I'm like, no. In order for us to really like come back stronger, we cannot move forward as a community until we start addressing the mental health issues and addressing like the pain that we're all suffering. So I wanted to highlight that because it's exhausting. Like, and I actually wanted to do, because the first episode I had done like women of the movement, but I wanted to do a second part where it was like women of the movement healers edition. Because I think there's, and you know, we can still do that, because I still want like us to even just talk about how you even get into this space and how you do it in a non-harmful way. Because I see so many people that try to do it, right? Like, they good intention, they're trying to have like honest conversations, and they know that these are important conversations to have, but they don't necessarily have the skill set to facilitate and moderate these type of things. So that's why I really, really appreciated how you guys set up Therapy Thursdays. And there was a word that you said that I also follow, and anyone who has worked with me knows that I do everything on purpose. Everything has an intention, because I'm overly thinking about what comes after. You know what I mean? Like, how does this impact the person? Are they walking away feeling better or worse? And my intention is never to have them walking away feeling worse. So if I'm going to have them talk about heavy topics, I'm going to also give them the tools to deal with it when they can't access me and they can't access this conversation, and that they have a way to like move forward. So I really appreciate, you know, that y'all do that. You do it so well. So I'm so happy that you guys like are just in that space, because I don't know that I could be in that space all the time. So I'm always like, when someone else is doing it, I'm like, amen, that's less work for me. The more the better. And I'm just like, man, let me see if this.
Well, I'll just say, like, it is a team effort. There's 4 of us who moderate. So me and Tapas, a young man named Lul, and our beloved queen, the doctor, Miss Tanika Lashan. And she's also in this room right now. She's still supportive of our community and the needs. And
she's dope.
Yeah, she's made herself available to us. And she's a therapist, and she's giving us like free support on Clubhouse. So it takes a village, you know. And right now we're kind of like the main room that's known for doing this, but there's just like, there needs to be more support. And so I'm working on kind of like bringing some other healers that exist on Clubhouse, and creating another room where it can be like a regular, like peer-to-peer support style, where there are a lot of rooms that talk about what are we going to do next, you know, and giving you updates on family members and information. But sometimes that's not what you need. Sometimes you just want to talk to somebody else who kind of gets the pain, and kind of like hold each other and support one another. And so we're working on that. That room is most likely going to happen on Saturday evenings. So look out for that. I'll be sharing that on my page too. And everybody should go and follow arthealth.ca. That's our handle. So it's at health.ca.
Do you wanna type it in and we can pin it?
Sure.
So that anyone in here. Let me take a second. I'm seeing something important in the comments. Usually it's just a hey, but Kidus? I think that's how you say it. The same here. I just lost my brother and my 3 cousins in Aden. I'm so sorry, Howie. Like,
I'm sorry, Kidus.
And I'm like, I want to cry for you right now. I've actually been crying this morning. So I'm gonna just know that it's there. I'm literally, it's been the last 2 weeks as more and more people are getting access to phone calls and starting to hear news. It's been so hard, and like I really feel for all of us, right? Because I don't know, I'm sure that there's family members I don't know about yet. So I'm like pre-grieving, if that's even a thing. But I'm so sorry, Howie. Like, this is so hard, and we're here for you, and like these spaces are here for you. Like, we really want to like just kind of surround each other with love and light, you know? And I almost like think of it visually like a circle, and we are like, us healers, what we're trying to do is kind of like close in this circle around all of you and like give you guys the space to like feel whatever you need to feel. And then, you know, you can walk out of that space when you feel better, right? Like, that's also why I tell people, like, do not engage with like the toxic, the trolls, the whatever, unless you know you have the capacity for it. Because when you're feeling this hurt and like someone is like invalidating you or making you feel crazy or whatever, it just makes that trauma worse, you know? And then you're yeah, I can go on about that, but I'm so sorry, Howie. It's so heartbreaking every time I hear about this. And I know that it's going to be a long haul. So there was a question too. Let me not move too far past it.
Okay. Wait, before you go to the question, I just want to respond as well. The Kidus and anyone else who is grieving or is looking for any type of support, someone to talk to of any kind, you can DM me, you can DM arthealth.ca. I have been helping people connect with therapists in their city. So, and even if you don't necessarily want a therapist, if you just want to talk it out with somebody, I'm here. I'm happy to be that person and to be that bridge to any resources that you're looking for.
Yes, I love it. I be telling people I answer my DMs. As long as it's not tomfoolery, I answer them. So let me see. It says, what, you know, my girl Shop Onjo, my good sis, she said, what do you do when you set boundaries and say you need to take a break, but you're followed with, let me see if I can read that, with, well, the people in Tigray don't need one, it cut off. I'm guessing the point though, right, is that you're followed up with pushback. I don't know that I have the correct answer, but I'll tell you what I do. I don't entertain the conversation. Like, if I'm saying this is my boundary and but comes after that, I'm like, you're not ready. Like, because your boundary is for you. If the other person doesn't understand that, then you don't have to continue to engage. I have to do this with family members. You know what I mean? And it's hard too, because they haven't done this kind of healing work. So even hearing someone use language like that is like, there's triggers there too. I've experienced it a lot where I'm like, my mom, I'm gonna have her on here one day. She's so funny. I'm like, Mom, your behavior? And she goes, behavior?
I know. Like, did you see my eyes?
Yeah.
I already was like, when you said behavior? Oh
yes.
My gosh.
Yes. Okay. I was like, Mom, your behavior is unnecessary and unwarranted. Like, you know, I'm using this stuff. And she's like, why are you talking to me like that? And I was like, okay, fine. Maybe this type of language isn't necessary. Okay, let me try it again, right? I'm like, Mom, so I'm like, Mom, when you do this, it makes me feel this way and I don't like it. And if you're gonna continue to do it, this is how I'm gonna respond. It's not like a negotiation. It's just like, I'm letting you know that I have a hard boundary. And like, boundary is not a word that they have because our parents didn't have them.
Yeah.
Like, there was no, like, you didn't have boundaries. You had a hierarchy and you just listened, right? And I came out the womb somehow not learning that lesson. And as hard as they tried, it just never kind of sunk in. I have stories after stories after stories of getting into it with Abiti, but yeah, that's how I have my boundary conversations now. And in some instances, I will just end the conversation. So if you're on the phone and it's continuing, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hang up now, and then I just hang up. We're not even negotiating. Like, I'm not negotiating that. Like, you're unwilling to see where I'm coming from. You want me to be patient and understanding with how you feel, but you're not giving me that same respect. So listen, I'm done with this conversation. This is my boundary. You either accept it or not. You're not accepting it. All right, bye. And I hang up. I'm not gonna do it. If it's in person, like, I attempt to have it and I'll walk away. Like, and I like, the people who are like, you can't walk away. Yes, I can. And I get up and I walk away. So that's how I deal with it. Is there something you do differently?
I mean, I agree with everything that you said. Like, my strategy, first of all, boundaries are my best friend. I love a boundary. Yeah, and boundaries are meant to be enforced. It's not a suggestion. It's you have to enforce it. Like, be your own boundary police officer.
Yeah.
So if someone doesn't respect your boundary, I'll put it me. If someone doesn't respect my boundary, I see it as though you do not respect me. And that is common with Habesha family members. Okay, you don't respect me because I'm the youngin, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a whole nother conversation. But when it comes to like Joe Schmo or your cousin, you don't get to choose if you respect me or not. That's not happening. And I can happily just like not have you in my life or in my DMs or in my presence. And so for me, I shut that down so quickly. Because I have literally fought tooth and nail for my mental peace, for my emotional stability, for my self-confidence. Nobody is going to now come and threaten the boundaries that protect that. So that is how I see it. And then when it comes with like elders and family members, which is like really annoying, you know, because you want to do it in a respectful way, but they're also not respecting you because they don't see you as a whole human. They see you as an offspring, and it's just like, but for me, I've had to very respectfully just like separate, like distance myself, and I let my distance speak for me. So I tell them, like, if you keep doing this, I'm not going to like be around. And they don't think I'm serious. And then I'm not around. And then they miss you and they're hurt and they're getting older and like all these things. So they, like, I've gotten emails, like, cause I won't answer your phone call, you know, cause clearly you've shown me that you don't care to respect me in a phone call. So why would I answer your phone call again? And like I said, I feel things very deeply. I will like a phone call and I will be like in tears afterwards. It'll ruin my day. Like, it's just
a little bit
myself through that again. So you don't get phone calls anymore. You get emails, and you have to earn back a phone call for real. Like that's what I do. And I've gotten emails back apologizing to me, which is like a big deal. Like for a parent to apologize.
Oh, sis, yes. Yes. My mom saying I'm sorry. Wow. Like when I tell you it took years, like it took years to get there, it was a lot. There's so much in that. You know, it reminded me of, you know, those memes where it's like the block button exists in real life too. Yeah. And I'm just like, sorry. It's just, I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. Like I gave you a chance. Yeah. I informed you. I like gave you an opportunity to like have this conversation. I heard you out. Like I've done all of that. And still you insist on being whatever and not respecting it, then that's it for me. And I'm very happy to block in real life. I use the block button on my socials I'm so friendly with it. You know what I mean? Like so friendly with it. And I do it in person too. And you know what it goes back to, right? It's this entitlement that because you're family, I have access to you whenever I want it. Yeah. You know? And I'm just like,
the comments are killing me. Like
what they say?
Said like, I didn't know they do that.
Yes, it's rare. It's rare, but it happens. It happens. Like I'm telling you, my mom, my poor mom, I put her through so much, but she's like, it's so nice though, because now like I see her taking the conversations we have to her friends, and she goes like, they're kids, and like, so she's now becoming a teacher. So I'm so happy to see her in that space. But I remember even like, even just kind of the language. I don't know if your mom ever did this, but she's like, you came from me, you came from my body, like you're my daughter. I'm like, I'm not your property, like, and
I said that before. I said, I'm not your furniture. You can't just pick me up and move me wherever you want.
One time I told my mom, cut the umbilical cord, and she was like, what? And I had to like break it down. I said, Mom, when you have the baby and there's that thing, that string that connects you to the baby? And she goes, yeah. I said, you need to cut that. And she goes, why? Like, it was just like she was so confused. Yeah. And I was like, Mom, like, so over the years, she started to understand it. She goes, no, that's my body. I said, no, it's not your body. I came out of you. Yeah. But that's not your body. You don't own me. I'm your daughter, but I'm also a human being. Yeah. I'm also a sister. I'm also a friend. I'm just a person that have my own ideas and thoughts and feelings. And I was like, I'm not here to be your mini me. I'm not here to be everything that you didn't get to do. Like, you don't get to live your life again through me. That's not what we're doing. So it's like, it's been years of, right? Like, I had to reinforce that a lot. Like, Mom, I love you, and we will be mom and daughter forever, but you just don't get access all the time. That's just not how this works. I don't ask you all day what you're doing and who you're like, so you need to give me that same respect. It took a while, but you got to stand like firm in this too. As we're telling you guys this, you have to do the work yourself first so that you can stand firm in it, and so that you can stand like, actually not just say that you want that to be a boundary, but that you're actually going to follow through and respect yourself and respect your own boundaries. Yeah. Like it's like a 2-3 step process there, Yeah.
And I will say, for any of the young people who don't like, I have always prided myself on being the good kid. Like when my mom would go off on me, I would say, do you know how lucky you are? Do you know all the other parents wish that their kids were like me? They tell their kids to be like me, and you're mad at me? And she's like, Aden, it's because they don't know who you really are.
There's so comedy. The stuff they come up with. Oh my God.
But I just kind of want to warn people that, like, the sad part is the reason why our parents are like this is because that's how they were raised, and that's how their parents were with them, and they didn't get the gifting of liberation.
No, not at all.
Exactly. They did as they were obedient. They did as they were told, and they were forever in line with someone else who was their manager. Yeah. And we were raised here, and that's not the culture and the way that we see things. So there's always going to be that clash. But even though I did see myself as always being very respectful, I was still called all the names, like Rabash, Dafa. My mom speaks Amharic, so these are the words, but like Rabash, Dafar, all the things, and so it comes at a cost. Like, I just want to like preemptively let you guys know.
This is not a one-day process. This is take some time. You got to be dedicated.
Yeah, I would say it's been 10 years. It's been like a 10-year like back and forth to like get my mom to see me as a grown individual, separate from her, who does not have to take orders. Like, she doesn't get to decide for me. What I do with my life. But now she respects my decisions, and she knows that I'll always just figure it out. And I've gotten myself this far, and so she's like, okay, I'm gonna let it go. So
it's been a lot of reassuring too, because it's like foreign to them. Yes. So they feel like when you push back on them, it's like you're just gonna leave them, you're gonna abandon it, and like they don't know, like you might die. Like, I had to realize, I don't know if this was a revelation that anyone else had, but that whole obedience and hierarchy, really, like, think about what it means in wartime. This is life and death. So like, when they're trying to like get all the kids safe, it's because if you out there and they don't know where you're at, they don't know that you're coming home.
Yeah.
So like it's like a reinforced fear that they've had to let go of, like little by little, you know. And so I don't know, I started really small, like little things here and there. I remember I don't know if you like, I don't know, it's like stupid things. Like I pinpoint like little things so that I can show like principle, and like explain it to her with like little examples. And I remember she used to do this thing where she would always open my mail, and then yeah,
you're triggering me right now.
I'm sorry, sis. I'm sorry. No, but it has a good ending. So she would always open my mail and she would call me. Like as soon as she goes, hey, you got this thing, you need it. I said, mom, you do know it's illegal to open other people's mail, right? And she was like, what? I was like, it's illegal. It doesn't have your name on it, which means you should not be opening it. And she goes, are you serious? Are you just lying to me? I was like, no, it's actually a thing, Mom. And she goes, yeah, but you're my daughter. I said, okay, so how about this? Let's make a deal. Every time you open my mail and it's a bill, you have to pay it. And she was like, oh, no. I was like, so stop opening my stuff. Like, stop it. That's rude. It's unnecessary. Or you need to ask me and I will tell you if it's okay, if it's something that's important that I need you to open. But no, like, stop it. And she had me weak after that. Like, so she still does it now to this day. Cause like there's things that will come home and she'll call me. Mind you, I live 2 states away now. And she'll call me and she goes, Ruthie, you got this mail. Didn't even open it. And I'm just like, what does it say, Mom? And then she goes, I don't know. And so she'll take a picture and send it to me. So it was a long process. But like showing her in that way, like, and kind of negotiating in that way is like comedy to me, but it's working. So y'all try it.
Yo, there are some like really great comments in the comment section. So Peace and Tigray said, LMAO, they really have zero boundaries. Betty said, my mom opened my college acceptance letter and told me I got it in the middle of class. My mom did the same thing. I came home from school and she's like, you got it. I was like, why do you know that? And then she was just so happy. And I was so happy I got into the school of the top school. But,
that's like, she took your moment from you.
Yes, exactly.
And they don't get it. They don't get it because they're living vicariously through you. It's to them, it's their moment.
Yeah.
Like, it's their moment. Like, they worked so hard and they raised you and you're such a, they did such a great job. I'm like, yeah, you did, but this is my win. Like, this is like, like there's not a clear boundary there because like, again, they think we're just an attachment of them.
Whole lives for us to have a life that they dreamed of. And so it's their win too, but just, we can find a middle. There's totally a way to find a middle. We can do this, Dr. Tamika, she wrote, that's some incredible perspective. They parent from a place of fear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The fear is so real for them. It's fear, shame, and guilt. Those are like their tools for parenting.
Yeah.
And that's why we all have that too. And we project it. So like, even when, the question, right, about like boundaries and like people giving you pushback, that's their own guilt. That's not your guilt. And it's like, because that's the way that we've learned to communicate with each other. It's like, but we can't take a break because they don't get a break. First of all, they definitely are taking some type of break. Like you just physically cannot, right? Like you still see kids trying to find, like, because kids are always going to try to play. So you know what I mean? Like, just be a little bit more realistic, but also ask yourself, if you were in that situation, would you wish somebody would give you a break? So, share that same, turn that kindness internally too. So yeah, I will say that for sure.
And then I want to add, it's really, I think we need to be gentle and delicate with them, like with our parents, with our elders, because it is such a cultural difference. It's from a communal cultural society to an individualistic one. They've grown up one way their whole lives, and they're not like kids. It's not like learning it, something like that. So it's going to take a while to kind of like get with the program, but also we need to also be part of getting with the program with them too.
Oh yeah.
And so I always say, like, I think we need to be delicate and to be thoughtful and be a way of like walking them in, you know, and not just like yanking them in, because that will never work.
It doesn't. I could tell you like 20 different times that did not work. Like, ended horribly.
And then Rahel, just this last comment I wanted to say, she wrote, how do you set boundaries if you live with them? That's like the biggest challenge. Oh yeah,
that's good times. That was always interesting. I went through different phases of that. There was the phase of like, well, I'm just gonna not be at home, and I would just stay out all day, find excuses. Then you join every club and sport and whatever to stay out of the house because you're not ready to have that conversation. So there's, I guess, avoidance is one way that I tried to do it. That just ended up burning me out, if anything. So that didn't really work too well. And then I realized, then I got real bold and would just call it out every time I saw it, and not nice terms. Like I would be like, just stop trying to live, like, you know, and I would just like go at it. I'm like, I'm not this. And like, you know, like, cause it was just so much frustration that I was like, yo, like, I'm trying to be nice. I literally do everything that you want me to do. I'm such a great student, this, and that. And still somehow you're not happy. So then it was like very angrily doing it. And then we kind of got to a point where it was like, okay, you know what? I had some really great mentors and leaders, and it was nice to just see an alternative that you can have adult conversations. And so I just started trying to practice and mirror what I wanted back. So I was like, if I want her to be kind and gentle and like understanding, then let me try to be kind and gentle and understanding to her. And if I want her to open up, then let me open up, right? And I was like, I cannot ask her to do something that I myself am not doing. So I started to try doing that, like reflective work with her. And then that was a lot better. It took some time still, but it was a lot better because I had taken a little bit more time to understand what my triggers were and like what exactly was the problem that I was trying to address. And then it went a lot better from there. But it definitely is like easier if you come like with that kindness. And then if it's still just like super, super toxic, then you need to just start thinking of a plan of how to move. Because there's also this kind of saying and expression that like you might not be able to all the time heal in the place that you were hurt. So you sometimes like you just have to get the distance so that you can even get to a place where you're comfortable to have those kind of conversations.
That was so perfectly said. I can't express that enough or emphasize that enough. For me, I did all the things you did. Like I tried to be out of the house as much as possible. It was expensive. I'd go to movies like as much as I could so I could just have an excuse. I remember like timing the time, knowing that my mom would go to bed at 10. So I'd try to like enter the house at like 10:20 or 10:30. I might just be on a park bench, like next to my building, waiting for that time. And this was like at the height of our issues. And it sucked because like she built this narrative in her head that I was like out in these streets doing some crazy shady things. And I was just trying to escape like the toxic energy that existed at home. I have had like periods of where I like moved out, moved back in, moved out, moved back in. And my strategy when you're living at home is I like try to like, actually, I don't know if this is good advice. What I did was I spent a lot of time in my room. And I just made sure I cleaned up after myself immediately. Like I tried to give as few reasons to get on my case as possible. And it also helps if you have like a job outside of the house, which I know is hard right now. But I found that having a job outside of the house garnered respect. And even if you don't respect me, you respect the fact that I have a job and a boss I have to get to. And so it just made it easier to live there. But this whole story is just all to say, like, as much as I love my family home. It is not healthy for me to be to be living there. And our relationship is at its best when we have distance.
When we have distance.
Because then you appreciate each other. Then you appreciate those times where you get to see each other and catch up, and it just ends up being jokes that you're like catching each other up on and exchanging. And so it makes the time a lot more precious. And then if something irritating happens, it's fine. You're gonna go home in like an hour, and then you'll be fine again. So I don't really have good advice. I'm sorry. Other than that,
no, I think that's just truth.
Yeah. But, this topic of boundaries is really timely because tomorrow on Therapy Thursday at Clubhouse, we're going to be talking about boundaries. Mm-hmm. So for anyone who wants to kind of learn more about that with the professional doctor, therapist, Dr. Tika, she actually will have advice, unlike me. So, come through.
That was the other thing. The other thing I did too was that I did the thing help shop parents want you to do, and I realized they'll somewhat leave you alone. So I got what I noticed. Well, I actually do like reading, but what I noticed is that if I had a book in my hand, nobody would bother me. Like nobody would bother me. It was like, I don't know, it was like some sacred thing to them. Like it was just so nice. Like I would just be in my own world. And they would completely leave me alone. And like my mom and dad would even like with my brother, like, don't bother your sister, she's reading. So like that was like my me time. I actually miss it. Like I'm glad like my schedule is starting to clear out a little bit more so I can start reading again. But I know I need that. That's something I need. I need to be able to escape my world for a little bit and like be in a fictional world, because it just helps me. Like I might not be able to physically leave sometimes. But at least I can like in those moments, like have some moment of peace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. You might not like reading. You might have to find like, I don't know. I know a lot of people say that they don't like reading. I'm like, no, you just haven't found the right kind of books that you like.
Yeah. But you could also like watch a series. You know? So like I'm a very visual person. I watch a lot of TV, which I know doesn't sound.
No, I do too, sis.
Yeah,
not so bad. I love it.
Yeah, I'm just being honest. Like I watch a lot of TV. I write like scripts, also, so it's kind of like my job. But I did a lot of like escapism through watching different worlds and like fairy tales and like wholesome stuff, like fun stuff. So that's another way to kind of get your mind off of what's happening, like IRL. Yeah, deep breathing, meditation, definitely a lot of me time. I just did a lot of me time when I was
I was just like, listen, and part of that means like being honest with where you're at and like what options do you have, right? And like play into that, because like my best friend, we struggled with a lot of similar things, but her home situation was completely different, right? And she wasn't in a place where she could leave or all these different things. So you have to figure out like what are the options that you can do, right, to like keep yourself safe and like find ways to protect yourself. And some of them might not be healthy in the moment, right? But you like can be aware at least that like, hey, I'm doing this in the meantime because I don't have a better option. But like be very clear about that with yourself so that you can like when the time comes, you can shed that like defense mechanism or coping mechanism and then like replace it with healthier ones. That's something that like I know that not everyone can do it as easily, right? So I want to be mindful that that might not be the case. But there's also hotlines now that people can tap into, where if you can't like afford the therapy or whatever, you can call these different hotlines to get advice and help in the moment, right? In the moment that you're feeling these things, just to like get yourself to calm down enough. I don't know. I'm a fan of taking a walk. Like if it gets really bad, I'm like, yo, I need to go take a walk. I'm very spiritually based. So like, that's something else that most of our parents are good with, right? Like they're not going to disturb you if they see that you're like doing something about God or whatever you believe in. Our parents are really good with you being into that stuff. So I kind of just, I don't know. I played around with a couple different things, and it helped a lot. So I hope that you guys found that helpful. But again, because the comments are like, yes, this is good, this is good. So this is the reason too why I wanted you on, because these are the type of conversations that I find most helpful, and like people get to ask their questions and get like, you know, practical advice through even just our lived experiences. And if I can save you some of the the pitfalls that I've gone through, I'm more than happy to share. And I hope that y'all find this helpful. So I want to be respectful of your time, because I know you have a lot of other things that you got to get done today. So my last question for you is, what are you hoping that your legacy will be? And like, what are you going to walk away from knowing, like, I did this, I put this into the world?
A lot of, I don't know, right now, I'm really focused on healing. That's kind of where my heart is strongly existing. Mm-hmm. But I think overall, I would love for people to look back and think like, this person inspired me to be all that I could be, the best version of myself, the healthiest, the one that like accepts all of me for myself, and is willing to take a risk. Like, as an artist, so many young people just don't think that they can make it, that they should even try. And I don't believe in that. Definitely, like, always try, please try, you know, and there's no reason, like, why not you? Why not? It just takes time. Everything takes time. So I would just love for people to think back and be like, this person inspired me to go for it and to heal and to be creative or take that risk into entrepreneurship or anything. Yeah.
I love it. And you know, you're already doing it. I've been saying this in all my episodes, because y'all all have the tendency of not giving yourself, you know, your own kudos, and because we're just so ambitious and we're like, no, but there's so much more I can do. It's like, no, like, I'm sure there has been multiple people who have been touched by your work. I obviously was touched by your work enough that I wanted you on and I wanted to highlight it. So, you know, take that, like, accept that, and know that you're only going up from here. And you know what I heard, right? She said, yep, the flower emoji. Take your flowers. Take your flowers. It really is.
I mean,
here you go. You know? That's what I'm saying. I've been telling people, just accept. I've been telling myself, I accept and I receive. I just accept and I receive. Because it's dope and it's beautiful. And I'm so excited to, like, continue to see you grow. Let me know, like, honestly, it's just shoot me a DM, right? Like, let me know however I can support, promote, uplift, partner with, collab, whatever. I want to make sure that you get to fulfill that. So yeah, that's it. That was your whole episode.
Thank you. I wanna say two things.
Go ahead.
Or maybe three things. One, you mentioned crisis. You mentioned phone lines. I want to really implore people to use phone lines. I know how they feel. I know how they look. I know it seems weird. I know it's like seemingly something for only faranjoj, you know, to use. And I also want to express that it's not like the best time to call a helpline isn't when you feel like you're about to just go off the edge. That is not the best time. But you can call at that time too. But the best time is any moment you feel like, I'm not myself, I don't know what's happening. Call then. You know, when you still have enough of your wits about you to identify that something is off. And then they can help. It's just easier. It's just so much easier to come back when from the start of it than from the end of it. So I really want to encourage people to take advantage of the phone lines, crisis lines, any of it. For anyone who's in Toronto, a great line to call is the Gerstein Center. They have like mental health supports on their phone, but they also have a mobile crisis team. So oftentimes people call the police for like a mental health checkup or check-in. Don't do that. Gerstein Center will actually have like met like people who know how to de-escalate crises. They will roll to your spot, to wherever you are, and help you. And there's no weapons, there's no guns, there's nothing. It's just talk therapy. So for anyone in Toronto, that's the Gerstein Center. And for anyone outside of Toronto, if you need help finding a line, DM me or DM Hannah, and we will connect you. We'll find that resource for you. That was the first thing. The second thing I don't remember, but come on Clubhouse and follow us. And it's just the same as my Instagram. It's at Aden. And you will be able to see all of the like rooms related to mental health, and any room you see me in is not toxic. So just a heads up, like you can trust if I'm in a room that it's like sound. Third, I think it's really important to see people that look like us and don't look crazy, know that they have also experienced mental health issues. I experienced depression. I'm really sensitive to depressive episodes, and that's something that is like my thing. And I know that it runs in my family, but we had to figure that out, you know? And then I have moments with anxiety. I wouldn't say that I'm an anxious person generally, but like we all have moments, you know, with anxiety. And so depression and anxiety are the most common mental health issue that people face. About 80% of Canadians experience depression and anxiety or anxiety. I imagine that it would probably be similar in the States. Yeah. So I'm saying this to kind of ease your mind to know that like you can be a happy person, an empathetic person, a very engaged and motivated person, and also still need therapy, you know, and benefit from therapy. So and then the final thing, thank you, Hannah. Thank you for this platform. Thank you for organizing this and doing all the work. It takes a lot of work to do this. And I just want to implore you to also like take care of your heart, take care of your mind, you know, do what you need to rest and rejuvenate, and to be able to continue to give as much as you do. So thank you for your work as well. That's it.
Thank you. I accept and I receive. It's that easy and that difficult. I love it. So thank you so much. Thank you everybody who joined in. I'm about to save this. Don't worry. It will be up on the page in about like 2 minutes. And I just think it's dope. If you need a Clubhouse invite, shoot your girl. I think I got like 4 left between all of us. So I'm sure we'll find you an invite. So I love it. I appreciate it. Please have a good rest of your day. Don't get burnt out.